Imagine a world where you wake up every morning and genuinely love the person you see in the mirror. A world where other people's flaws don't irritate you to your core, but simply become personality traits. Sounds like utopia? What if I told you this isn't a dream, but a skill that can be learned? Today we're diving into the philosophy of acceptance, ancient wisdom that can radically transform your life. Ready to open the door to inner peace? Acceptance isn't passive surrender to fate. It's an active choice to stop fighting reality and start collaborating with it. It's a revolutionary view of life that changes everything. But let's understand where this concept came from. The philosophy of acceptance was born thousands of years ago in the teachings of Buddha, the Stoics, and other wise traditions. But only today does science confirm what the ancients knew intuitively. Research shows people who practice acceptance have lower stress levels, better mental health, and stronger relationships. Stanford University conducted a study showing people with high levels of self-acceptance live 7 years longer. But what exactly prevents us from accepting ourselves? Our inner critic works 24/7. It appeared in childhood as a protective mechanism, but now it's become our worst enemy. Let's start with the hardest part, accepting yourself. How many hours a day do you criticize yourself? How much energy do you spend trying to be different? Psychologists have calculated the average person speaks 60,000 words to themselves daily, and 80% of them are criticism. Mark, a successful manager from Moscow, hated his shyness for years. He considered it a weakness until he realized his quiet wisdom was his superpower in negotiations. Clients trusted him precisely because he didn't pressure or impose. Self-acceptance doesn't mean you should stop growing. It means loving yourself in the process of growth, not just at the moment of achieving your goal. This is a cardinal difference from what we were taught since childhood. Imagine you're a gardener. Would you scold a sprout for not yet becoming a tree? Of course not. You would patiently water it and wait. You would rejoice at every new leaf. You should treat yourself the same way. You are a process, not a final product. And this process is beautiful at every stage. Every mistake you make is a lesson. Every fall is an opportunity to rise stronger. But how do you learn to accept your flaws? The first step is to stop calling them flaws. These are simply features of your personality, each having its light and dark side. Your slowness might be thoroughness. Your emotionality, the ability to feel deeply. Your critical nature, a striving for perfection. Your anxiety, heightened responsibility. Anna, an artist from St. Petersburg, was ashamed of her excessive sensitivity for a long time, until she realized that this is exactly what makes her art so piercing. Her paintings move people to tears precisely because she feels deeper than others. There's an exercise that changes lives. It's called self-compassion letter. Write yourself a letter as you would write to your best friend who made the same mistake you did. Self-acceptance begins with practicing self-compassion. Talk to yourself as gently as you would talk to your best friend. Research shows self-compassion is more effective for motivation than self-criticism. When you make a mistake, instead of "I'm an idiot," say "I'm human and humans make mistakes. What can I learn from this?" This simple rephrasing activates the prefrontal cortex, the learning center. And here's an important technique, the 10-10-10 rule. When something unpleasant happens, ask yourself, will this matter in 10 minutes? In 10 months? In 10 years? Most of our dramas lose significance in this perspective. Now let's talk about accepting others. This is an even more complex task because we can't control other people. And it's precisely the attempts at control that destroy most relationships. Remember the golden rule of psychology: we cannot change other people. We can only change our attitude toward them. This isn't defeat, it's liberation from an impossible task. Your colleague is always late? Instead of boiling with anger, accept this as a given and plan accordingly. Meet with them half an hour later. Your blood pressure will normalize, your nerves will stay intact. Your partner leaves socks on the floor? This isn't an assault on your dignity. It's simply their habit that has nothing to do with you. Everyone has their own household peculiarities. Igor, a father of 2 children, told me, "I used to constantly try to make my son into an athlete like me. But he loves books, not balls." When I accepted this, our relationship became much warmer. Now we go to the library together. Important distinction. Accepting others doesn't mean you should tolerate disrespect or toxic behavior. It means seeing people as they are without trying to remake them. But you can and should set boundaries. There's a wise prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. These words have become the motto of millions of people worldwide. Most conflicts in relationships occur because of our unwillingness to accept differences. We want everyone to think and feel like we do, but this is a utopia that leads to suffering. But imagine a world where all people are the same. It would be unbearably boring. Differences make our lives richer and more interesting. The extrovert complements the introvert. The analyst complements the creative personality. Maria, a psychologist with 20 years of experience, says, "Happy couples aren't those without differences. Happy couples are those who accept and even value these differences. They see differences not as obstacles, but as opportunities." Here's a practical exercise. Gratitude for differences technique. Every week, find one quality in a close person that differs from yours and thank them for it. Acceptance requires constant practice. Start small. Accept a traffic jam, rain on the weekend, a queue at the store. This is a training gym for life's bigger challenges. Every time you feel resistance to reality, take a deep breath and say, "This is what exists right now. What can I do about it?" This simple question switches you from victim mode to creator mode. Mindfulness meditation is a powerful tool for developing acceptance. Just 10 minutes a day of observing your thoughts without trying to change them. Research shows even 8 weeks of such practice physically changes brain structure. Keep a gratitude journal, but with a special focus. Every day, write down 3 things you're grateful for about your imperfect self. Thank yourself not only for successes, but also for attempts, for the courage to try. Practice the gray zone. Instead of good or bad, use different, interesting, unexpected. This frees you from the tyranny of black and white thinking. Elena, head of a large company, shares, "When I stopped dividing employees into good and bad and started seeing their strengths, team productivity increased by 40%. People flourish when they're accepted. There's an amazing paradox. Acceptance doesn't make you weak-willed. On the contrary, it frees up enormous energy for real changes. When you stop fighting what can't be changed, you gain strength for what can be. When you don't waste energy fighting windmills, you have plenty of resources for what can actually be changed. Acceptance isn't passivity, but strategic allocation of forces." Psychologist Carl Rogers discovered an amazing pattern. The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. This isn't wordplay. It's a profound truth about human nature. Remember the mirror effect. When you accept yourself, this reflects in your relationships with others. People feel your inner harmony and are drawn to it like a source of warmth. Children are especially sensitive to our self-acceptance. When parents accept themselves, children learn to accept themselves too. This is the best gift you can give a child, an example of a healthy relationship with oneself. Here's Dimitri's story, a programmer from Yekaterinburg. "I was self-conscious about my stuttering my whole life. I avoided public speaking, stayed silent in meetings. When I accepted this as my feature, I became calmer. And paradoxically, the stuttering almost disappeared. Acceptance isn't an endpoint, but a lifelong journey. Some days will be easier, others harder, and this is absolutely normal. Even Zen masters don't accept everything 100% of the time. Create an acceptance first aid kit for yourself. Write down phrases in your phone that help you in difficult moments. I'm worthy of love as I am. This emotion is temporary. I'm doing everything I can right now. It's important to remember acceptance isn't about perfection. It's about humanity, about the right to be imperfect and still worthy of love, respect, and happiness. And finally, acceptance is contagious. When one person in a family, workplace, or group of friends starts practicing true acceptance, it creates waves. People relax, become more authentic, more open. The philosophy of acceptance may seem simple, but it requires real courage. Courage to be vulnerable. Courage to let go of the illusion of control. Courage to love yourself and others as you are. Start today. Look in the mirror and say something kind to yourself. Accept one trait of your partner that irritates you. Forgive yourself for yesterday's mistake. Thank your inner critic for caring, but tell it that today you're choosing a different path. Remember, every moment of acceptance is a small revolution against the culture of perfectionism. Every time you choose compassion over criticism, you're not only changing your life, but making the world a little kinder. If this video helped you look at yourself with greater love, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. In the comments, share what's hardest for you to accept about yourself. Which of your traits are you ready to see in a new light? Let's support each other on this challenging but beautiful path to inner harmony and peace with ourselves.